further ahead.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, you finished section 3, correct?
No, section 4 also we finished, no?
I mean, no, I don't think section 4 we finished.
नहीं सर, हम
The wrath
सेक्शन
of
3
God-
तक ही थे.
Acha, acha. Okay.
Just finished section 3, section 4 and 5 we should do.
Yeah, okay.
No, I think, sorry, we just started the story of original sin. Wrath of God, destiny of humanity, innate faith and justice. Yeah, section 4 we are to. Third, I think we just finished,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
Great. Okay, then I will start with this. So the wrath of God, the destiny of humanity, the innate faith in justice. The thoughts of one life which have not been adjusted are carried over by the doer to the next life and to the next, and from one civilization to another until they are adjusted. Families, tribes, cities, nations, civilizations, and the whole of humanity have their destiny. So what he means is, I think this whole of destiny means there is a destiny which is waiting for each of these individually and severally.
Is this collective? He's saying
And
whole.
individually, both.
Okay.
And this life after life carrying on this destiny is that which we talk about Sanchita Karma, Prarabdha Karma and Agami Karma.
Yeah.
The presence of the destiny of humanity is one of the sources from which comes the feeling of assurance that justice rules the world. The presence of the destiny of humanity is one of the sources from which comes the feeling of assurance that justice rules the world. The other source is the idea of justice. This idea is inherent in the doer of every human, and because of it, man fears the wrath of God and asks for mercy. The wrath of God is the accumulation of wrong actions, which, like Nemesis, pursues ready to take over, as soon as the conditions are right. This feeling of the destiny of humanity is shared by all its members. It causes mankind to try to propitiate some unseen being and is made one of the foundations of religion. Any questions here?
This is the sad part of it,
Correct.
When on the other hand, you have the feeling that there is justice, but later on you also say we can propitiate the Almighty so that justice will come to you. Because I heard, I heard some people say, look, I do all these things in my business, so I think I'll just come, that's why I go to Tirupati and then
I go to Tirupati and surrender and submit. So you are making it a financial transaction.
No, I make 1 crore, so out of the 10% I give to him so that he can forgive me.
So he will forgive. See, right. This is what in Faqih he refers to as surrender.
Yeah.
And in surrender he says there are 3 kinds. Transactional surrender. This is what can be attributed to transactional surrender.
Yes.
The other one is expectation-based surrender. Every day I am doing puja, so he will take
so every day, you're right. Correct.
And the third one is absolute unconditional surrender. Whatever comes to me will come after my Guru has approved, and I have total faith in him. If he gives me death, it means that is better for me.
Correct.
That is total surrender. So that is what he is trying to probably bring us to that conclusion.
But you know, you must read. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So, sir, when you're talking about the unconditional surrender, so in that case, I am accepting everything, whatever is been given, okay, without any raising question. It's a fully faith in me. But when you talk about, it is about you are manipulating with the things.
No, then
You
how
are
is it?
satisfying yourself by doing
Then
a
how is it
transactional
unconditional
surrendering.
if you are manipulating?
So it would be conditional only, na, because I'm giving a 10% in the charity, whatever I'm earning, that's a
Correct.
conditional. Na?
So your expectation is because you are making him an accessory to your murder,
Correct.
right? He is not an accomplice. Please understand that. You are making him an accomplice. That is not going to deliver goods. That is not going to give you the results that you are looking for. Are you with me?
Oh, okay. So, there are the 3 types of the surrender. I need to go for the unconditional surrender. Then only something good or better,
Yes,
or to
yes.
evolve my soul, it would be easy.
That is the only condition, that is the only surrender. All the others are transactions and expectation based.
Michael Singer.
Yeah.
Right?
See, had he not
But-
surrendered, he wouldn't have risen to what level he rose. Suppose he had been resisting everything, he would have been stuck in one of those initial forest visit or whatever it is. Okay. So that
See,
is
there is a very interesting book by Stephen Kopp, his name. Stephen
Okay.
Kopp, Kopp. It's a small book. It's called "If You Meet Buddha on the Road, Kill Him." Okay, it's all about how this fast justice we expect.
correct.
The whole book is about there's no justice. Don't expect this fast justice.
Exactly.
And there's similar sentiment expressed by Horsted Gardner, Danish. It's translated in English now. It's called Maya. It's a pretty big book. It's called Maya, the book. And interestingly, he's a journalist. He goes and then most of the discussion is a discussion with a gecko. He's sitting in that raining and sitting there and start conversation with the gecko. And there also he talks about similar thing. And then how we expect fast.
So you have given me 2 books to read. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful! Especially both the books.
I will read.
And
One second.
What is the another one, Jagadish sir? One is
Maya.
the Stephen.
Maya by This is Joston Gardner, a Danish. I don't know whether you heard of the book Sophie's World. Very famous book on Sophie's World, which explained philosophy to young girls. It's the same author. Same author has written this book called Maya.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And the first book is Stephen Kopp by Stephen, I think. I think it's Stephen Kopp. But Kopp. It's called If You Meet Buddha on the Road. If you meet Buddha on the road, kill him. And that is kill him or shoot him or something like that. It's a much smaller book. But one thing about this book, about this one, the Buddha Gil, it makes reference to a number of other books. Other books like from Siddharth, Macbeth. So even without knowing this book, you can follow it. But if you have read those books, they'll be more interested. Pilgrim's Progress, Macbeth, Siddharth, all those books he refers to in that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir.
Sir, how many people do the unconditional surrender in actual life? I think most of the 99.999% people are doing the transactional surrender.
Yes.
which we think about the wisdom, enlightened people or the wisdom gainer or something like that. I don't know how much they are doing unconditional surrender in this context also.
True. Yes. Very rare.
Mhm.
We are learning, we are just evolving ourselves. Still, we are just in the process.
Yes.
That's why, yeah, that's why we need to spread, ma'am. Like, that's why just spread about this meditation. So, if they get it, get it. Otherwise, they'll be like us, how we were before coming to meditation.
See, the important thing here is, right? It depends upon to what extent you have understood the meaning of
Exactly, sir. So, meaning of every word, even the surrender word itself, acceptance word itself. As we say, we are doing a meditation, we evolve. I can surely say there are many people who are following the Chandrasar or the PSSM and all movements. They are doing the surrender. Only the monetary, they are just looking at their, changes or the evolution, but they are not
actually
practicing
Kancha.
what has been
See,
taught in the.
correct. But Kancha, one input here. After we have started reading this Thinking and Destiny, right? Are we understanding the relationship between thought, desire, and feeling?
Yes, sir. I am at least 10%. I think I am understanding now.
Right. Now, if we are understanding, right, then we will understand what surrender actually means. And now, surrender doesn't mean that if there is any injustice happening, accept it.
Yes.
But do it with utmost faith, saying that universe will take care of it. You raise your objection that is required. Just by doing a Shivatandavam on the other party, neither you get anything, nor does he get anything. Both of you lose energy. He by brooding over it and you by shouting over it. So that understanding, saying that it's a mistake, we need to understand why it happened. Is it under your control or the control of the other party? And so on, right? Now, here you can't say, I have gone and bribed that fellow, so my work will get done. That is not the faith that we are looking for. Correct? And whenever things go against your desire, right, there is one law which is not stated when it comes to law of attraction. You will get what you are eligible for, which in other words is qualified and termed the law of deservedness. Right? That law of deservedness is the act of the universe. If you don't deserve something and you are desiring for it, then it is ill-placed desire. You will not get it.
Absolutely.
Right? So that law of deservedness is something we are never aware of. We are controlled by our senses, not by our wisdom. If we are controlled by our senses and not by our wisdom, then we face this challenge. Because that is when your expectations peak. Correct? So we need to be aware of that. And this is, at this point that we just read, which I will read once again, is something that we need to take cognizance of.
Yeah.
The wrath of God is the accumulation of wrong actions which, like Nemesis, pursues ready to overtake, which means the wrath of God is the accumulation of wrong actions which pursues ready to overtake as long as the conditions are right. Condition A meant the objective or the whatever is that.
Balancing, huh?
The balance, right? That those three, the moment they match, the accumulation will get released of the wrong actions. This feeling of the destiny of humanity is shared by all its members. It causes mankind to try to propitiate some unseen being and is made one of the foundations of religion. That is where they are bringing in religion. Lack of understanding is begetting religion, which means darkness, ignorance is causing this. And by eliminating that ignorance, we will be able to bring this to fore. The mercy which seeks is likewise a source of religion. He seeks it that he may have this just deserts removed. Removal is impossible, but the pressure of one's thoughts towards exteriorization may be held back for a time until the suppliant for mercy is able to meet the exteriorization of his thoughts. Mercy is asked by those who feel themselves too weak or who are too fearful or too selfish to let the law be fulfilled. So, one source is the wrath of God, which becomes the foundation of religion because of the wrongdoing that we are experiencing a culmination of. When the conditions are right, when the objective is being met, and the balancing impact can happen. This is a continuous rigmarole, whether we are conscious of it or not. The second thing, the mercy which man seeks is likewise a source of religion. He seeks it that he may have this just deserts removed. He seeks that he may have his deserts removed.
Just having hell deserts, just desert. That's what he deserves. The punishment he deserves, he wants it to be removed.
Correct. So he doesn't want to, he wants to be released from the wrong.
Forgiven. Yes.
Because he has asked mercy.
Yes.
Removal is impossible, but the pressure of one's thoughts towards exterior. So this is another way of saying acceptance, right? Forgiveness
Yes.
and acceptance.
Correct.
So mercy
So
is asked by those who feel weak. See this. Mercy is the other form of forgiveness.
Mercy is the other form of seeking forgiveness.
Seeking forgiveness, of course.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Right. So, if you seek forgiveness, you are not submitting
Right.
to weakness.
It's a
You
weakness,
are
correct.
actually recognizing and accepting. Besides the fear of wrath or vengeance of God, and in addition to the desire for mercy, there is in man a faith that somewhere in the world notwithstanding all the seeming injustice, there is, though unseen and not understood, adjustment and justice. So this is the hope on which you are continuing.
Right. This is the hope. Yes. Somewhere there is the justice is there. He doesn't know the true kind of justice, but he looks at the hope of justice.
That this inherent faith in justice is self-existent in the doer of the man. It blossomed when the AIA was raised to be a triune self. But to evoke this faith, it requires some crisis in which man is thrown upon himself by the seeming injustice of others. The faith in justice is part of the intuition of immortality, which persists in the heart of man despite his agnosticism and materialism and adverse conditions which harden him. So this is part of the frequent test that you are being subjected to. The intuition of immortality is the underlying knowledge that the doer comes into being in the eternal, not in time, that it has fallen into time, that man is able to live and will live through the seething injustice that is imposed upon him, and that he will live to right the wrongs which he has done. This is a very interesting statement, sir.
Very, very.
Very. Because this is where, right, you are accepting the scenario saying that it has come to teach me something. What have I learned? Learned is the balancing that is going to occur.
I just have a question when he says, can we go little up?
Yeah.
One more, yeah. Here, when he says the intuition of the immortality is the underlying knowledge that the doer comes into being in the eternal. So that means that at that time, the doer comes into this his being to give the knowledge that something is happening, like he gets this, all this.
No, he
The
is
intuitions
coming to recognize.
He comes to recognize, that something
coming
is
to the
okay. I need to
recognition
accept it.
Or taking cognizance of.
Okay, yeah.
That it has fallen in time, that man is able to live and will live through the seeming injustice. So if some problem has come, first of all, you need to know that you will live through it. First of all, we need to have that understanding. We will live through it.
Yeah.
And our mind should change, right? And he will live to right the wrong that he has done. Right? So now let us say that we are encountered with a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Like suppose
the first understanding is, right? The first understanding is that, I mean, if we are really evolved, we have understood what this means.
We accept.
First of all, we accept. It has come to me because it is an opportunity for me to give back what I have taken. Thereby balancing my, or negating my, or balancing my existing. You call it karma, or you call it energy that I am carrying, I owe.
Yeah.
Right? I have earned it, so it has come to teach me the mistake I made by virtue of what I have learned that or made that mistake. So now by releasing it, I am actually increasing my wisdom. My deeds my mistakes of my past, like Chandra sir's meditation, when he does virtual, whenever he completes the meditation, when he is giving gratitude, he says,
Yeah.
let my past actions become, past mistakes become my wisdom.
Yeah.
Right? This is where that sentence really applies and comes from.
I would
The
also like
idea
to.
of justice.
No, I also like you to please look at that word. There's a very particular word, intuition of immortality.
Correct.
To me, see, not PC. There is an intuitive mind that tells them about immortality. Somewhere it's coming. He's still not conscious of that, but he knows. Yes, if
we
I
are
accept
not.
this, justice will come.
So the
With
first
it-
stage here is you recognize because I have given you that wisdom. Now, the moment I have given that wisdom, the mind has its antenna open.
Right, and I'm not
And
not be
that
conscious of
becomes
it,
the
but it is there.
intuition.
Exactly. That word intuition immortality is very important there.
Correct, correct. So, I mean, once you have understood, see now, I mean, this happens in our daily life. When you are crossing the road, look to the right first.
Right.
Now I go to US and first look to the right, I will already be a dead man.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah. Opposite everything.
So we need to understand that is where your intuitive capability of having understood this comes.
Correct.
Right? So that is the way we should understand this book. We will continue. Right? So now the idea of justice, innate in the heart of man, is the one thing which saves him from cringing for the favor of a wrathful God.
Fantastic statement.
Very. Look at this. The idea of justice, innate
What is
heart of the man. Inherent in the heart of man.
yeah? What
Is
is this
one thing-
cringing for the
Cringing
favor of
with-
wrath?
Then that means
Begging for.
you are actually looking forward to that favor of wrath of God.
Oh, okay. Looking forward. Yeah.
Begging
This
for
is
it.
that three
Begging.
varieties of surrender from Fakir.
Okay.
One of them. Right? Look at this. See, one he is talking about intuition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Intuition is the property of the knower or the thinker.
Knower.
Think again.
Is it our thinker?
See,
But
what are
intuition.
the active and passive of the knower? Selfness and I-ness.
Yeah, I-ness and selfness.
Correct. Whereas here it is rightness and reason.
Oh, yeah, correct. In
So
knowing,
which one
in
are we
knowing,
igniting by this intuition?
yeah. So in knowing comes the rightness and the reasoning.
Correct. So because of rightness and reasoning, we are able to think about selfness and I-ness.
Okay, yeah.
So intuition is a property there. The reason I am raising that is the thinker, where does he reside? He resides in the heart.
Yeah.
When you take the four cavities, where is that fellow residing? First is the
Chest.
pituitary.
Yeah.
See, Noah is going to the pituitary and pineal gland in the cavities.
Yeah.
This is coming to the heart.
Yeah.
And the doer is going to the adrenaline and kidney.
Yeah.
Right? So, in the idea of justice, innate in the heart of man, is the one thing which saves him from cringing. So, you will not have misplaced expectation, is the message here. Sir, please add if I am missing something.
No, correct. No, what you said is a misplacement. Correct. You're right. Absolutely right.
The idea of justice causes a man to look fearlessly into another's eye, even though he may be conscious that he must suffer for a wrong he has done. The fear of the wrath and vengeance of God, the desire for mercy, faith in the eternal justice of things, these are evidences of the doer's recognition of destiny of humanity. Have you understood? What is
So
destiny
the
of humanity?
the fear of wrath and vengeance of God, the desire for the mercy, faith in the eternal justice of things. These are the evidences of doer's recognition. Okay. Yeah.
Correct. So, in other words, right, this is a combination of the inputs to your thinking mind, which is your reason and rightness, but is coming from the conscious awareness of this definition. That is the wisdom side of it. This wisdom is shared between selfness and I-ness. This is part of I-ness, not selfness, because selfness again has got its active and passive, which is your ego, external and internal. So this book is literally total surrender.
No, this particular chapter, this section from the last one is wonderful.
Absolutely.
It's so explicit. Okay. And sometimes you say, how do I tell these people who are going to go to bed? How do we tell this? But like he rightly said, it's a wisdom that has to come.
It is a wisdom. And sir, interestingly, one thing, as you said earlier, this is experiential.
Exactly.
This cannot be cognitive beyond a point.
Right.
The cognitive learning rests at reading it once. The ability to understand, internalize, and then share. This is part of the experiential learning.
Correct.
No,
I emphasize the internalization part of it. Many times we read, we don't internalize.
Actually, any book, if you read, any movie that you watch, if you put yourself in the center of it, we will be able to internalize it.
No, that's exactly what J. Krishnamurti always said, Jyoti Krishnamurti. See, I'm talking, don't believe me.
Yeah.
Experience me, he said.
Sir, that is what even Bhagavad Gita is saying. And
all the Upanishads.
Lord Krishna says it beautifully. He says, Arjuna, you and me are not different. I am aware you are not.
Ah, correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I was a very young lad, high school lad, and Lalbagh J. Krishnamurti, my brother took me there. Huge, big crowd. He sits like this straight, no? He talks like that. He sat there, young man just started on this because I got into philosophy earlier. The way he spoke, you know, that when he said experience me, you feel that whole energy to it. You know, don't believe.
That experience is the one, if you go by this book, that is what radiates outside and creates our halo and aura both.
Yes.
So we will continue to the section 5. This is beautiful. The story of original sin. Sir, I will continue reading for some more time.
ठीक है सर, आप मुझे बता देना जब I have to take up.
Yeah. The story of original sin is not without basis. It is a fable which conceals some true traditions. One of these has to do with the procreation of the bodies of human beings. Many events are covered by this mythology. The doers who were affected by the events feel a truth under the story of original sin. The details of the story are in some ways related to the original events, but are twisted, inaccurate, and childish. Nevertheless, the story has power because doers are conscious of truths which are concealed in it. Wow, the last sentence, but I will read this out. The story of the original sin is not without basis. It is a fable which conceals some true traditions, not all, which conceals some of the true traditions. One of these has to do with
तो इसका क्या मतलब हुआ सर? Conceal some true traditions.
Hide some true traditions that we
hide
know.
some of the things which are true,
Yeah.
right? See, if there is a process to be followed, you hide one or two of the process elements. So the tradition is the process, but this is already hidden. Some portion of it is concealed. One of these has to do with the procreation of the human beings. Many events are covered by this mythology. The doers who were affected by the events feel a truth under the story of original sin. That means when you experience something, you will feel this truth. The details of the story are in some ways related to the original events, but are twisted, inaccurate, and childish. Nevertheless, the story has power because doers are conscious of the truth which are concealed in it. The native story covers a history of the knife story. The knife story. The original
the
story
doers-
without anything hidden.
Here, what do they mean? Who are the doers?
All of us,
Do
anything
you and I.
inside the body.
Oh, okay. Okay. So they are, who are affected by the events feel a truth
Exactly.
under the story of, okay. Yeah.
Sir, what is the story of original sin means? I mean, just very short one. I
He
wanted
is
to check.
taking us that. खाने के पहले उसका टेस्ट मत पूछो.
अच्छा, अभी आगे बताएंगे क्या?
हाँ, ये ओरिजिनल स्टोरी एक जिलेबी है. Explain a jalebi to me.
मीठा मीठा होता है, इसका गोल गोल होता है जिसमें दही
लेकिन वो
डालते
समझ में नहीं आएगा ना उसका टेस्ट.
True.
Right? The ninth story covers a history of disquieting results. The use of the procreative power was the original sin. समझ में आया सर?
नहीं सर, नहीं आया.
What is the procreative power? और थोड़ा समझाए. The result following the procreative act was to give to the human race the tendency of unlawful procreation, and this tendency was one of the means of bringing on ignorance and death in the world. Procreation is what, sir? Is birth of, right?
It is basically talking about, the
Sex.
probably referring to the earlier story of Adam and Eve, right? And they're
It is.
probably
He's
yes,
leading
it
us
is
there.
basically
No,
basically
at this
leading
point,
to that.
he is leading us there, Anu.
Yeah, so that is the original sin it talks about when you are getting lured by the forbidden fruit and under the, your lower emotions that you get attracted towards it, and then how you do it, how you take it, and then you get involved into the, the procreation, which was earlier, which was not there, because till the time, if you look at the original story, the Adam and Eve, they were the two individuals, and they were living in the Garden of Eden or whatsoever, right? So, and there was no procreation at that time. So probably that is where it is referring to.
No,
It is
he's
only
leading
after
us there.
that, yeah. So it is where when you done that, then you start getting involved into it.
So does it actually mean that when Adam and Eve, they like disobeyed God, and that was the fall, from the perfection, and that's how the perfect world में थोड़ा imperfection आया.
See,
Can I
with the
add here?
information available now in this chapter, we have not yet come to that conclusion. He is building the case. But eventually, that is what it is. See, look at this. Look at this construct. The name story covers a history of disquieting results. The use of procreative power was the original sin. See, it is not the procreative power that was the original sin. What was the original sin?
You get lured by the lower carnal desires.
No, that's what he's talking about, the use of.
Yes.
The use of the procreative power was the original sin. The result following the procreative act was to give to the human race the tendency to unlawful procreation. And this tendency was one of the means of bringing on ignorance and death into the world. The penalty of the original sin of the doer is that they are now dominated by that they originally refused to govern. Feeling and desire. See how well he has constructed that. The penalty of the original sin of the doer is that they are now dominated by that which they originally refused to govern. See, in order to maintain their balance, what were they expected to govern? We had this in the diagram somewhere in between in the lower, this one, after breath form, and how the breath form became the soul, how it became the soul in the body, and what was the outcome. It loses its control. It loses the control of the body mind, the desire mind, and the feeling mind. That was a box somewhere which came in the middle. Are you able to recollect?
Yes, yes. So what he's saying is, if it is not lawful, then it gets disturbed. That proceed.
See, the act itself, itself is that cause. Which gives, right? If it is unlawful, definitely it will give a punishment also corresponding.
Yeah.
Right? Now let us read further. But here it is important that we recognize that. That is the point I was trying to make. So, the penalty for the original sin of the doer is that they are now dominated by that which they originally refused to govern. What was the doer governing? What was the doer in charge of?
Feeling and desire.
Exactly.
Oh, balancing of those two.
Correct. Maintaining the equation there.
Yeah.
Right? And they are now dominated by that. That means they are now become the other way around. The slave is controlling the master. When they could govern, they would not. When they could govern, they would not. Now that they would govern, they cannot. What a sentence. Wow. ये अंग्रेजी मजा आ गया.
No, language is always, especially I was mentioning,
Yeah.
particularly for the language.
When they could govern, they would not. Now that they would govern, they cannot.
They would not. They cannot. They lost that.
One proof of
They
that
lost the chance.
ancient sin is present with every human in the sorrow that follows an act of mad desire. This is not just sex. This is karma, as we call
Any
in our Hindu religion. It is any desire.
Any
Even
desire.
against his reason.
So when it is talking about this particular sentence, it is also talking about, that when they got disoriented and then, then they did the sin, they were also able to conjure upon negative and destructive concepts such as shame and evil, right? So I think that's where it is probably where all the negative qualities, where they were, able to start harbor them. Probably it is also referring to that somewhere.
See, no, basically the root cause that he is referring to, whatever you are saying is correct. What I'm trying to say is, everything, the root cause is mad desire.
Yeah.
Right? So one proof of that ancient sin is present with every human in the sorrow that follows an act of mad desire, even against his reason. He is driven to commit. That means he is not wanting to commit, but he is so much under the influence of that mad desire. You may use the word addiction.
Yes, yes.
Right? He is driven to commit. Another evidence is the existence on earth of what today is spoken as the lower human races. That means those who are looked down upon, who are not able to control their senses.
Now, also this sentence should be also viewed from the context of the social more order of those days. There were people who are not, see, today the most have changed. There were certain people who are looked down as lower races because they committed certain things which are not acceptable.
I mean, you
should
can
also
be the criminals.
look at the context of that social order.
Correct.
That also should be.
Yeah. So what is righteously accepted as decent, if it is not being adhered to, then they fall into the other bucket.
Low. Yes, yes.
It is not religion or anything like that.
But we need to understand that, that if we talk about that context, that the social order of human race, of the lower race, then you need to understand that this is order which has been created, or the rules which have been created by a sect of people who call them a society, right? Or civilized society. Something which is acceptable to one and they may not be acceptable to others, right? It is my or anybody's individual choice.
That is true. It is always a choice. There is no dispute on that. The only thing that we need to take cognizance of is not the way, the untouchability, etc. Not those parameters is what I'm trying to highlight.
Yeah, of course not. Yes.
So because the moment you say social strata, right, it is actually a false well and compound wall that you are constructing.
Right.
Yeah, Balaman, you have anything to say?
Is this how the Varnas created by all these desires and imbalance of all this?
I'm not sure. The reason is, yes, they were created with what suited me, what didn't suit me, and all that.
Yeah.
It could be one of the reasons.
Yeah.
This and other events which underlie the legend of the original sin have consequences which reach the present day. They all come from times when doers knew the right from wrong and were therefore responsible. They could not stand still, but had to go on or back, one way or the other. They could not stand still. That means they had to waver and succumb. they had to decide, and they gave in to the temptation of pleasure. They now give away to sensation and assent to their desires. They look into darkness rather than into the light. Their destiny has followed them through the ages. It has led them deeper into wrong until now. The degree of doers in the human bodies is that of sense-bound doers. Their feelings and desires are ruled and enfeebled by sensations, and the light of intelligence is obscured in them. Beautiful explanation.
Yeah.
Classic summary is materialism. Today the move,
Yeah.
growth of
Absolute
materialism.
materialism.
Yep.
Absolutely. This was,
And living in the survival mode 100%.
Yes.
They are deeply conscious of events for which they were responsible. This is one of the reasons why the doctrine of original sin has found a response in the hearts of so many. But
So basically what he's saying is when he makes a mistake or sin, instead of realizing it, he is falling into that trap and keep
no,
on.
he is giving into that, which in other words is manifestation of whatever is going on as yielding to pleasure. Vishwamitra Menaka Kahani yaad rakhna
Yeah.
hamesha.
Yeah, and not accepting whatever he did it, and for his sin, he's not accepting, but he's,
See,
yeah.
the reason I say Vishwamitra Menaka is very simple. Vishwamitra set upon a journey of spiritual meditation.
Yeah, and then
He wanted to realize something. Menaka
Yeah.
comes, performs a dance sequence, and he is succumbing. What is he
Yeah.
succumbing to?
Desire.
That which he is supposed to control.
Yeah,
He
he's
failed
succumbing
in
to that.
this.
Yeah,
Correct, correct. So that desire, he went to Vasishtha's ashram.
yeah.
He saw Kamadhenu there. He wanted to own Kamadhenu.
Another,
Again,
yeah, desire,
another
succumbed into.
sequence of
Yeah.
manifestation of what is not right, desire. He
Yeah,
could have always come and told, since you are having so many people, can I take assistance of you whenever I get into some situation like this? That is utilizing the service.
yeah,
But he said, I am a king, you are not. I am a king, right? That
ego.
the ego,
Yeah,
the selfness in him
yes,
drove the reason.
yeah,
So he knew what was righteous. Right?
yeah,
And then the doer in him performed the act. The moment he performed the act, right, he has invited the sin.
yeah,
see, another interesting that we should remember from this last paragraph or the last two sentences is
Correct.
we already agree. So this is what materialism is, right? I guess you're going, and that is what increasing materialism. And also see what you should read is people who are totally material also say this is bad. They're conscious that this is bad, but
Correct.
but still they're
indulge in it.
not able to come
Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah, they
So
want
that
they
is
still
the
indulge in it.
one. Yeah, that is exactly what Vishwamitra's story emphasizes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That is the original.
I'm
sin,
with
yeah.
you 100%. Right. So both the origin of the story of the original sin, but sorry, not both, but
Yeah, but-
the origin of the story of original sin was when the doer in its perfect body was in the realm of permanence. There in the trial test for bringing its feeling and desire into balanced union, it failed.
It failed.
Therefore, it came into this world of birth and death, and it periodically re-exists in a man body or in a woman body.
This came right in the very first chapter.
Yes, in the introduction also.
Yes, the introduction, sorry, not first chapter. Introduction brought this issue. Correct.
Right? Okay. Now, any question? Any topic for discussion out of this?
So because they keep on imbalance, because of this imbalance of desire and feeling, so we keep on taking the birth and death. We go through the cycle. So until
go
we
through
correct.
this cycle. Now, please note, till you have controlled all this,
Yeah.
right? You are only living in the survival mode. When will you be able to think beyond the survival mode?
When you come out of the desires. I mean,
When
senses.
you are not under the influence of your senses.
Yeah.
Right? Which means, right, you should know what is it that you need for survival. Draw a line.
Yeah.
Once you win, I'm trying to say how we can apply this in our real life. For example, my monthly salary is 0 now. Right? When I was earning, there has been a time when my monthly salary, if I don't even talk in terms of Indian rupees, during the 90s in UK, my take-home salary was, after paying all taxes, was £5,000. Do you know what it means?
Yeah, it's a lot.
If I was in India, if I was living in India, which required 35,000 rupees for surviving in those days in a luxurious manner, I was earning almost 100 times that in a month. Because in UK, £500 in those days, other than the another 350 for a luxurious house, independent house with a garden in front, garden behind, all that would have costed me maximum £1,000. £1 in those days was equal to 98 rupees. How much could I have saved in 5 years, in 4 years? Just think, did I? No, I blew it all away. Okay, did I do anything worthwhile? If I look back, do I see anything? Nothing. Right? That was the extent to which I lived in the materialistic world. Then one fine day, the universe said, "Isko dekhe fayda nahi hai, kaat do." तो पूरा काट के नौकरी के साथ सब कुछ उड़ा दिया. Then it hit me. I came to India with just £7,000.
Wow.
Even that also in 2001 December I came. No job, 2 children. Right? But see what it taught me. Today I am able to talk. But when I realized the mistake I made, next day I was called and offered a job. Not with that kind of salary, but a salary high enough even in those days. 2002, I started a job with 19.5 lakhs per annum, which was good enough. Right? That is when I realized, okay, that incident happened to teach me this. Now let me come down. ऊपर से नीचे आ जा, बेटा. अभी जमीन पे जीना सीख ले. हवा में बहुत उड़ लिया. So, see, we should be able to apply these kind of learnings out of our own life through introspection to correct ourselves. And after that, I've been through a lot of positive phases, excellent for positive phases. And then I again came to zero. But one thing, the first lesson that was given to me has been able to build in the necessary spirituality for me to understand why is this happening. And being a reader, that is when what all books I read, one by one, the messages started appearing to me.
And then you came
there
into
is a way
PSSM.
we do yield many a time to our desires. But what are we learning from it? Where are we drawing the line? That becomes essential. And this book is probably telling us to experience that if you are in that state, otherwise recognize and see what necessary amends we have to make. That is the objective behind this chapter.
That is why even for any health issue also, they always say that you need to accept first. Yeah. Then it starts working, along with you.
Exactly. See, I mean,
Yeah.
I have given away 5 fingers of my 2 toes,
Yeah.
I mean, 5 toes of both
Yeah.
the legs put together to diabetes.
Yeah.
Only then I learned how to control diabetes. Nowadays, I
Yeah.
take ice cream every day. And
Yeah.
the body doesn't scream.
Even though the body doesn't
It's able to help me carry forward. So,
Sir.
if we understand,
Yeah.
right? Now, but then when I take ice cream, what is happening? Just look at the fun of it. I am not hungry throughout the day anyway. I take probably a scoop of ice cream. I enjoy the flavor. But when I don't get ice cream, I don't go hunting for ice cream.
Yeah.
Right? See,
Yes.
these are the things which are the benefits of any kind of a meditation that we do sincerely. Now, I am surprised, sir. I don't have any sleep pattern nowadays. Earlier, it used to be 4 hours. अभी 4 नहीं कुछ नहीं नींद आया तो 10 मिनट के लिए आंख बंद कर लिया I am hearing everything but at the same time I am asleep.
Wow.
That is helping me read books in the form of audio books. So as we keep on practicing, right, whatever the schools of various kinds of wisdoms teach us, there is a lot of essence. And that helps us significantly improve ourselves. That is precisely what he has taken us through that entire process in the last 3 sections. Yeah. Let's go to the next section because we have finished section 5.
I just to conclude this, what it says in the last paragraph, I am reminded of Ayn Rand's book, this Atlas Shrugged.
Fountainhead or Atlas?
Atlas Shrugged.
Atlas Shrugged.
Atlas Shrugged. Okay. So there's this guy, Aristotle. He explains. He asks people because he's a very rich man. Somebody asked him. He says it depends whether you want to control money or you want money to control you.
Exactly.
That is what comes over here. So he says, do you want to control money or you want money to control you?
The same way mind also.
Everything.
Yeah.
See, all those are just you remove the elements.
Yeah.
You remove money, put mind, put
Yeah.
desire, put something else, all those, right?
Yeah.
And the moment you start recognizing that I need only so much to survive, when does that happen? When you have satiated your desires which are within the acceptable limits of the society that you belong to.
Yeah, section 6.
Yeah, we'll go to the sections. the moral code in religion.
You want me to read?
Now let me do it for now.
Okay.
The unit which is now the triune self of the doer in the body. The unit which is now the triune self of the doer in the body was once a primordial unit in nature and later progressed through all stages in a perfect body in the realm of permanence before its doer fell and came into a human body in this human world of change. That is, it functioned in all parts and systems of the perfect nature university machine, the perfect body. Thus, it functions successively as the organ unit of each of the organs in each of the four systems of that perfect body. Then it became the manager of each system in succession and at the same time functioned as and was one of the four senses. Eventually, the unit became the breath form, and as breath form, it managed the four systems and the body as a whole. That is the evolution. Right? The breath form unit, which became the AIA, finally, because of the guidance and the light of its intelligence, the AIA in turn became a triune self. The triune self of the intelligence which had previously been a triune self. So the incomplete becomes complete in this process.
Yes.
Right? Any questions here?
The incomplete becoming complete by getting this guidance of light.
Yes.
Yeah.
By getting the guidance of light and going through the rigmarole of purifying itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Birth after birth. Till a complete balance of all the units, all the functions, all the integrated organs, which became the perfect body remaining in absolute balance.
So he's saying the four systems. So those are the body functional four systems. Yeah.
So he is talking about you are rising through this when you have balanced everything. Okay.
So we have gone. You have to come down further.
66. We are in 67, I think, isn't it?
67.
Yeah.
The triune self is not nature, but it progressed through and advanced beyond nature. The triune self is not intelligence, but it is always within the sphere of its intelligence. And the light of its intelligence is innate. The four senses are the roots of nature in or around the doer now in the human body. Nature draws nourishment from the doer in the body, and the doer gets experience from nature. This exchange is made possible by the light of intelligence, which is in the triune self, not with the nature. One second. The triune self is not nature, but it progressed through and advanced beyond nature because it has moved from breath form into the intelligent side.
Yeah.
The
That
triune
AIA.
self is not an intelligence, but it is always within the sphere of its intelligence because it is on the intelligent side. And the light of its intelligence is within it. That means its level of consciousness in line with the light. The four senses are the roots of nature. Okay. In or around the body, now in the human body, correct? Nature draws its nourishment from the doer in the body, and the doer gets experience from nature.
It's a give and
Correct?
take kind of.
Correct. It's a give and take. This exchange is made possible by the light of intelligence, which is with he's calling me this time. Give me a minute. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So we are talking about the triune self is not nature, but it is progress and beyond nature. Right? Yeah, where were we? This exchange is
Light.
made possible by the light of intelligence, which is within the triune self, not with nature. Because light of intelligence is where that is where we are able to recognize that. Voice or pull of nature is experienced as a feeling, a longing. The doer responds by worship and belief and fashions for itself gods out of the nature. The doer responds, okay. So what he is saying is, depending upon the ignorance level, right? This worship of belief, fashioning gods out of its nature, etc. is happening. That is the understanding that I am getting. Anyone wants to comment on this?
No, that's
Right.
correct. I think
Same thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's correct.
Right? All of us are in agreement, right?
Yeah.
The reason that nature gods desire worship from the doer in a human, the reason that nature gods desire worship from the doer in a human is that this is the only way by which they can receive the light of intelligence.
Oh.
The religions exist because there is tie or pull of nature on the doer. The triune selves use this relationship for the development, education of the doers. That is why religions actually exist.
Right.
Religions
Because
are
if you know, if
allowed by
originally,
triune selves for the purpose of letting their doers learn the law of thought as destiny. Though the teaching is not under that name. Any question from anyone?
no, I just want to just this way. So the point when you in the Abrahamic religions, you talk about a message received by the prophet, which is passed on. So these messages are the intelligence. And in the non-Abrahamic religions, the Oriental religions, it's the consciousness. The idea comes from the with the conscious. Both are different ways of getting it, but that is where the intelligence tries to push through a nature into you, that wisdom.
The code of morals is furnished by triune selves, and by means of that code, responsibility of the doers is developed.
Right, correct.
So, simple teachings only can be received by childish doers. Therefore, the doers have been allowed to believe that their God is the administrator of justice according to a moral code, and that he speaks to them through their conscience. The code of morals is furnished by triune selves, and by means of that code, responsibility of the doers is developed.
Yeah, but here I'd
Yeah.
like to add a little difference. Here he's talking about the true, what is called as the ethics of consciousness, which is different from what is called as ethics of authority, which the third and just
There is
imposes
no
on you.
authority here, no.
So
Right,
where is
exactly.
ethics comes in this?
No, when you say moral, we refer to the moral, no? So
See,
this is
if you talk about
allows
what
you to
is
become a
morals, code of morals,
Yeah, the
it
code
is
of morals.
coming with the balanced state of the knower
Okay.
yes.
and the
Yeah.
thinker for the doer to follow. That is the key message.
Yeah.
So if you talk about ethics or behavior, this is the correct ethics, which is called the ethics of consciousness. But oftentimes, if we see when we talk about ethics in our materialist world, we are talking about ethics of authority. Like for you, what we have the moral forces today, no? Force of morality, who tell you do this, do that. They carry a jhanda and don't do this, and that is called ethics of authority. Somehow
Sir,
the rules impose
ethics
authority.
of ethics of authority differs according to the people to people, and we play with that thing according to our interest.
No, ethics of authority comes from, like for example, the church imposes some rules on you. The temple
So that
priest
is
imposes
also,
some.
so that is
That there
what
are
is the priest also interest is comes into that thing, no, sir?
exactly,
There are the many
exactly.
misbelief was been
Yes,
inculcated
yes,
No,
into
it
the
is not
human.
the
yes.
priest's interest also. It is the priest's interest only.
Only. Yeah. Yeah, that is true.
You're right. You're right. Okay, so
See,
not
to have a
forget.
president of a colony, his first focus is himself. Then those who are very close to him, only then the rest of the community comes into picture.
No,
So
J.
that's the
Krishnamurti.
only reason. That's the only reason there the lot of misconception, misbelief was spread into the human life. Okay, and they have just started falling without using their brain, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
of
It
this
has been
priest,
going
this
on.
pandits and all this, those people who had an authority. Okay, they have just inculcated those beliefs into the
No,
society.
they have not
And
inculcated beliefs. They changed the code of behavior. The code of
whatever you
morals
can put it.
had a meaning. Like, you see how the tribe of the most powerful men in the history, women in the history, was reduced to that of a Devadas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah,
right. Correct.
Right?
yeah,
They were actually
Nahi samjha.
independent women.
yeah,
And they had so much capability, wisdom, they had so much knowledge, they were great proponents of art.
yeah,
All those people, right? M.S. Subbulakshmi, for example,
yeah,
she comes from that community.
Yes.
But they were actually very well-to-do people. I'm not talking financially. In addition to financially, they were
Capability.
well-to-do
culturally.
culture.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? You take Rukmini Arunde. She is
But
the
the
one who
society
changed
stamped.
the definition of, she came from a very forward community. She came from a Brahmin family. And That too in Tamil Nadu. She comes from there and takes Bharatanatyam and restores it back to the state of an art.
And then society
So-
stamps her differently.
No. She is not stamped.
Not
She
her.
is
Not
actually
not
stamped
Rukmini
as a
Aranjan.
highly
She brought
respected
back-
person.
No, MS, yeah,
Yeah, MS, it happened.
yeah.
But by the time Rukmini Arundel came up, she actually changed the picture completely to a highly respected profession. Today, Bharatanatyam dance is a very difficult art, and what do you call a dance to get who is very good in that is very difficult. She has
Yeah,
taken
in
it to the
olden,
other extreme.
yeah, in olden days, people used to say, "Oh no, not people from good families. They should not dance."
Yes.
It
Yeah.
used to be like that. Yeah,
But originally that was not the state. So
Yeah.
these are all examples of exploitation,
yeah, it's true.
which fits into this moral code of conduct.
Authority.
Yeah, the same
Correct.
way, even though our scriptures, Upanishads and Gita, they all said God is within you. You have to, you are only, you are responsible for whatever you are doing, but they are they are everything hidden purposely for a purpose. And then they made as though some God is someplace and controlling
God is
everything.
only under the control of some people because he has
Some
sent
people.
me as your representative. Right?
Yeah.
So first it
Yes.
started with the king being considered in that chair. Then
Yeah.
it was delegated to the priest in the temple or the priest in the church, and so on. And each of them became their own power centers.
And same way Swamiji's also. What about
Correct.
Swamiji's?
Yes, they're all.
Yeah.
Same. All of them have a vested interest in the whole thing.
Yeah.
No, J. Krishnamurti very clearly says about leadership. He says, you talk about leaders all have self-interest.
Yeah.
The doer, because it is tied to nature, readily credits it to nature God more than is due. The nature gods depend as they are upon worship for their nourishment and existence, wish to figure as the supreme lords of the states. Priests also take advantage of the needs and sentiments of the doers. So the moral code given by triune self is for ecclesiastical Yeah.
purpose.
What is that meaning?
For ecclesiastic purpose, for religious.
For religious, the
religious ritual.
what we call the
Ecclesiastic.
Oh,
actually
okay.
religious
Order of religion. Order of religion.
Okay.
supplemented by the theological doctrines and ceremonial homage, and is used by the gods and their priests to keep doers in subjection,
Subjection. Absolutely.
under control.
Very well said. Yes, very well said.
This is where Kanchan, whatever you are saying is completely covered.
Yeah.
As the doer advances, it begins
Sir, ये
to
nature god क्या है?
inquire.
क्या?
Huh?
नेचर गॉड क्या है? नेचर गॉड
Nature God, Ram, Lakshman, Pathar,
The gods we pray.
whatever gods you create. कल ले जाके आपके घर के अंदर एक पत्थर रख के मैं बोलूंगा ये यहाँ से स्वयंभू हुआ, लग गया ना आपका घर का? आपका घर का तो हाथ धोना पड़ेगा.
करेक्ट.
आके बड़े बड़े लोगों को ले आऊंगा, वहां पे बिठाऊंगा और बोलूंगा अभी पूजा करो. ये घर तो एक मंदिर है, मंदिर में लोग नहीं रह सकते हैं, आपको बाहर कर दिया.
So these nature gods are also So these nature
अरे
gods are
बेंगलुरु
also
में यही हुआ ना,
created,
वो सुबह
right?
का वो जो बड़ा सा ये विक्टोरिया रोड के पास वो बनाया है ना, on the airport road, sir. That
क्या हुआ उसको?
क्लोथिंग स्टोर वाला वो बहुत सारा
हाँ.
जमीन हड़पना चाहता था.
Oh, you're talking about Bangalore?
शिव का एक ये बना दिया.
Ah, yes.
Right, he wanted to control that property, so वहाँ पे बहुत बड़ा शिव का मूर्ति बना के वो इतना बड़ा बनाया है कि वहाँ आदमी सोच नहीं सकता है. Probably बेंगलोर में सबसे लार्जेस्ट स्ट्रक्चर होगा.
Yes.
Right? बस वो हड़प लिया, वो जगह तो हड़प लिया उसने. Right? So those are the things.
Basically, nature gods are gods that you create.
Correct.
You and I create.
Yes, same way, Ramanuja statue also recently, Chinajiyar has built such a big, huge one in Hyderabad.
So there will be some vested interest behind it.
Oh, yeah.
So now let's move on. As the doer advances, it begins to inquire, he starts questioning. The arbitrary and quite human injustice shown in the management of worldly affairs may bring about disbelief, agnosticism, and atheism, but only for a time. During such a period of transition, the rulers of the world seem to be blind. Chance and fortune seem to be blind, chance and fortune, and the explanation of everything that is unusual, unrelated, and unexpected is that it happened as an accident. Right? This is the explanation that everything has happened as an accident. So
wait a minute. Up to this, I got it. Only for a time. Okay, they think, they don't believe all this. They become atheists or,
no, they begin to inquire basically. They begin to question.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Right.
People like
when
us.
Such questioning happens.
Yeah.
The rulers of the world seem to be blind, chance and fortune.
Yeah.
I think the word is wrong, sir. It is not blind.
Yeah, something
Probably,
doesn't make
maybe it is blend.
No. It's not wrong. I'll tell you. I'll try to explain this. See, as you start becoming wiser, you start questioning these things, disbelief. Then you say, I don't know. I got it. I don't know. Then totally atheist, totally reject these beliefs. Okay.
Yeah.
But this is only for a time you go through this phase. Okay.
Yeah.
This is you are transitioning, right, from disbelief to atheism. During such transition, the rulers of the world seem to be blind, chance and fortune. During this phase, you're blind, chance and fortune. You don't analyze, you don't think. You blindly give to think in terms of odds, chance and fortune. You look at that way. And they call it accident. That's what it means.
Oh, okay. In that period, in transition period.
During the transition period, yes, right.
Yeah.
And the explanation of everything that is unusual, unrelated, and unexpected is that it happened as an accident.
Yeah.
Because you are still not been able to explain. You're questioning. You're not
So, doers pass
rulers
through
of
the various stages of belief. Yeah, sir, kuch puch raha tha.
So the rulers of the world means here what, sir? When I am transitioning myself from advancing myself and I'm in a transition stage, the rulers of the world seem to be blind chance. Iska kya matlab? Rulers of world yahan kahan hai?
Hey, see, you are from Orissa, right? You are from Orissa, Mr.
Ji, sir.
Right? So, will you believe in what a South Indian temple says or what Puri Jagannath temple says?
Okay.
Both are rulers of the world. The high priest of Puri Jagannath versus high priest of Tirupati. किसका मानेंगे आप?
तो अभी ये
personally
किताब पढ़ने
किसका
किसी का
मानोगे?
नहीं। हाँ
नहीं, अगर
ठीक
आप
है,
समझे
पर्सनली
हुए आदमी हैं, पहुंचे हुए आदमी हैं, तो आप उसका
हाँ,
मानोगे
अब किसी को
जिसका,
उड़ीसा वाले को पूछोगे तो वो कहेगा जी मेरे लिए तो जगन्नाथ ही सब कुछ है।
हाँ, फिर वो हो
राइट,
गया ना. So that is the rulers of the world. All those people who are ruling the world under the, whether it is the religious world or the physical world or whatever you call it, उनका ही सुनोगे ना. और वो लोग क्या करेंगे?
Right,
उनके पास भी जवाब नहीं है, तो ये एक्सीडेंट, गलती हो गया.
so
वो
all these
गलती को
temples what
दोहराते
we look,
दोहराते उसको प्रैक्टिस बना देंगे.
right, so all these temples today we see or go, these are all by means, these are all nature god, right?
Correct.
No, you build it for nature god. The temples are not nature gods.
No, you
You
are
build it
creating
to
the nature god, and you are creating the dwelling and the what do you call the sieve around it. You are creating the wall around it. You are creating the traditions to be practiced around it. All that, those who are creating are the rulers of the world, and
Yes,
that is
yes.
creating a tradition. That tradition is being questioned today by the open-minded people.
So when they question, they themselves doesn't know when it happened, so they will try to
No,
manage
no,
it as
not
an
when it
accident.
happened. They know when it happened, they know why it happened. But they will feign illness, ignorance, and say, "Oh, galti se ho gaya," because they don't want to explain that.
Okay,
They don't want to explain that their interest, vested interest, is behind it.
okay, okay. ठीक है सर, ठीक है सर.
So, doers pass through the various stages of belief. They believe that man is born without having made his own identity, his own destiny, that he has but one life on earth in which he sees justice unequally meted out, that man is born in sin, that he may be saved from the consequences of his false life.
We had to roll down.
That's okay. That's okay. Now we can see. Yeah.
By vicarious atonement, since he has no moral responsibility, that all depends upon the arbitrary will of God, that everything is the result of chance and accident. These doctrines are contrary to reason. In time, men will see that these credulously accepted beliefs are not valid objections to the law of thought. When they understand the whole plan of the development of the doer with all its unity, simplicity, analogies, and interrelationships. Right?
Yeah.
समझ में आया नहीं आया?
जी जी सर, ये क्या है vicarious atonement?
Vicarious atonement, because you atone through others. You don't directly atone. That's called vicarious.
See, just listen to me. So, doers pass through various stages of belief. They believe that more. See, यहाँ पे थोड़ा Christian का लेके आया है, because they only believe in one life on the earth.
Yes.
हाँ, वही मैं भी वही सोच रहा था. हाँ, correct sir.
Correct. So he has brought in his religious belief, and he will realize that that is not correct. But as he progresses, he will realize that it is a distortion and the reality is elsewhere. ठीक है ना? So I think we will end this chapter here logically.
Okay. This is the last chapter, right?
Yeah.
Next we go to 4th chapter.
ये चैप्टर ही खत्म हो गया.
हाँ. एक बार चेक कर लो.
Yeah, ठीक है.
हाँ, चैप्टर खत्म हो गया.
तो अभी चैप्टर 4 है, ऑपरेशन ऑफ द लॉ.
ऑपरेशन ऑफ द लॉ ऑफ थॉट. वो कल करेंगे.
इसमें बड़ा कंफ्यूजन